So yeah, Suede, go ahead and jump us up with a little introduction, a little bit about yourself and a little bit about what you guys are building over there.
Sure. So we're the first music generative AI on the blockchain, and that's big for a few reasons. First, it allows people to create music from semantic prompts, and they own the royalties to it, which is big for musicians, which typically are getting leapfrogged in the royalty process by AI. They'll have their own model, which they can create music from, and then they're due royalties. And then with the blockchain, we can prove provenance, we can secure intellectual property, and we're utilizing AI agents to bring that music into places where listeners would hear it, such as X Spaces, and a number of different platforms. So it takes it from our platform, Suede AI, and brings it to wherever in real time the person would like to target their music to go to. So that's what the AI agent is actually doing. But it's live now. Anyone can create music at no cost, and it's studio grade, and it's about whatever they'd like it to be about. They can write it about something as specific or as macro as they'd like.
No, that's awesome, man. And I actually did a little bit of research after we talked this last week about music and AI and the future of blockchain. And I will say, you guys are doing some really cool stuff. So I really appreciate you guys in the space and really changing the music industry a little bit. Obviously it's baby steps. You got a long way to go. But I was realizing like a lot of these other platforms take like 18 months for these creators to get paid out. And I think that's a huge problem. And I love what you guys are doing about blockchain transparency, instant finality, and I really bring the power back to the user and the creator, right? There's a lot of creators out there that are roadblocked just from starting out, and you guys are allowing creators that actually have talent to be able to get in with, like you're saying, no cost almost at all, besides time, right? And I think that's a huge win for the ecosystem and for the musicians out there. A lot of independent guys out there that they can't afford a studio time, they can't afford any of this stuff, and this allows them to kind of break the barrier. So appreciate what you guys are doing over there. All right, let's jump in a little bit in the questions. And for the sake of time, guys, I will kind of jump into some of these questions, but let's kind of just like podcast style. If you have a value, you jump in, you start answering the question. You don't have to raise your hands. Just if someone speaks, you just be mindful of that person. And as soon as they're done, you can jump in it. But I'll kind of try to keep it a little simple and short so that we can make sure we get to a majority of my questions, because there's a lot you guys are doing, and I want to make sure the information is really well taken to the community members. So with that being said, all right, let's jump in my first question. What's the most practical use for AI agents? And I know now there's a lot of talk about how great AI agents are, but I think some of the use case has been saturated on the talk of it, but not really the value of what they can really bring past some just social media agent that just does random shit posting all day long. So like I was saying, what is the most practical use you believe for the AI agent you see in the Web3 space now? And are there any AI powered features that your guys' projects are rolling out that will make a difference? At least you believe the AI agent will really be handling that much more efficient than if you didn't have it.
Yeah, I'll speak on this. I think that's a great question. I think that AI agents can be used in a lot of different applications within applications. For instance, we're primarily a music generative and intellectual property AI platform, but we're going to be utilizing AI agents not only to bring the music to different places, but also for fraud detection, also for making the experience of interacting with wallets as safe as possible. So we're going to allow the user to offboard a lot of the concerns with utilizing private keys. They can start using account abstraction in smart wallets and things like that, so they don't have to be concerned about exposing their private data, and they're actually using open source agentic AI to actually ensure that they are working with a safe platform and not having to sign transactions. Our philosophy has always been, in order to use this product, we don't want people to have to feel like they're using crypto. And in order to do that, we need to leverage AI in a number of ways to ensure that people are safe and there's no degree of vulnerability to their assets.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a unique way. Anybody else want to touch on that? How they're utilizing AI agents to really kind of bring the new wave of how you, at least for me myself, like I got in, I was using these AI agents, but it's like I don't want to use every platform's AI to do the same thing. So definitely love what you guys are doing over there. But you guys want to touch on how you guys are utilizing the AI agents just slightly different?
I mean, I think just on that point is key, because there's a lot of noise out there on AI agents, and a lot of it is really just launch pads and sort of tokens disguised as agents. But I think where we can really apply them, as just mentioned, is making crypto simpler for people. We talk a lot about abstracting away a lot of the complexity, but that's actually really hard to do in crypto, because then you've got different chains, different risks, different assets sitting underneath that. And so it's not until we can actually deploy agents carefully that we can actually give that user experience of simplicity without them actually taking a lot more risk. There's an interesting project by a team called Parallel. They're actually building a game, and that's where they started. It was an MMO about a year ago, where instead of having a player that you told to go left or right, it was sort of an agent in this MMO. And as they were building out this system, they started applying it to DeFi. And so they built what they call way paths, which are kind of like these safe paths for the agents to walk down or to interact with. And so they start to build up a lot of confidence in bridges or contracts that have worked in the past and that will work again, but doing it in a very slow and careful way. And so what that allows is you can kind of speak in quite simple terms to these agents about what you want to see executed or what you want to see the outcome to be. And they'll go ahead and actually deal with a lot of the complexity, as just talked about. Like even just signing a transaction currently is a very opaque thing. You get like a string of hex, or you don't really understand what's happening under the hood. And so having these agentic interfaces is going to be super powerful for opening up a lot of the complexities of DeFi to a much bigger audience.
Oh, 100% agree. I think that is probably one of the linchpins of the blockchain. When I came into it, I had to spend about $500 of wasted money just to learn how to utilize gas and all the fees and how to transfer back and forth. Like I lost some money just learning. And I think that AI agents not only will they alleviate a lot of that pressure, but educate those people on how this is done or why it's done this way, and allow people to then have a better chance of exploring without a lot of the negatives. Definitely neat that, Parallel what they're doing over there. It's funny that you said it, because I'm actually familiar with them, because I was in that P2E craze a while back, but they came up and I was reading about them, and yeah, they're definitely doing some interesting stuff now with AI and agents. And we've been hounding for, I don't know, 6 months now, or a year, that AI was a trending word that literally became a staple, not in just the blockchain, but in the entire world itself. And so I definitely like that they're being able to kind of take that and make a new version of what gaming is like. And you never know, it could be the next big thing, but I definitely like what they're building. And it's cool that you were able to highlight that and see that use case within that, and seeing that that's a powerful thing. So anybody else want to touch on that before I move on to the next question? All right, let me see. Let me bring up my questions right now. No, I definitely agree. AI not only are alleviating a lot of those pains of pressure, but a lot of the people, when I go to talk to them and tell them about blockchain, it's so confusing. So allowing something that's going to kind of take care of a lot of that mud and issues and understanding, and in a way, kind of keep you safer, because they will be able to read the data through their algorithm and know if it's necessarily something that you want to touch or not touch. It's definitely really cool, and I definitely appreciate what you guys are doing over there. Across the board, every one of you guys, with how AI agents are going to be developed, because like I was saying, AI agents, like we were just saying, it kind of got like a bad name in the very beginning, right? It's just a bunch of the same stuff, but there's so much more power if it's built right, take some time, and implement it properly. Could definitely be a huge win for projects and the user base. So with that being said, let's talk a little bit about the user experience. AI agents can make Web3 more user friendly, but kind of what ways are your project using AI to improve the user's journey? And do you think AI could help bring like I was saying, the mainstream in faster and alleviate a lot of those pressures? What do you guys believe on it, and how you guys are implementing it is kind of what the question is, so that people here kind of get an understanding, and maybe they'll tell their friends and family that are kind of naysayers in blockchain, to be able to say, hey, you might not be fully into blockchain, but hey, check this out. This might be able to help you kind of understand how we're moving, and maybe find a place where they can park their first investment and get an understanding of what AI is and the blockchain itself. I know Suede kind of already jumped in and was talking about it. Nobody else want to talk about that? It's a good question, but I know it's definitely something to think about. Kind of understanding how the user can kind of get a much more friendly approach. I know that Cloudbet just kind of talked about with Parallel, but I don't know how you guys were implemented within your guys' ecosystem. I know Suede, if you want to join, I just seen you unmute. I know you probably have some good parts about it, because you're definitely, I love how you guys are implementing AI agents to kind of alleviate like the publisher and issues and understanding the platform. Like, you definitely guys are killing it right now. And I already did a bunch of research on you guys.
No, I appreciate that. And, you know, when I was a kid, in order to prove that we had written a song, you would have to mail a cassette tape to yourself. And the first person that could show a postage handling stamp for that cassette tape was proof that they wrote the song. And that was the best we had. Well, now with blockchain,
The generic
you can actually
copyright.
show a hash.
That, I remember that. That's funny.
Yeah,
The generic copyright. I
yeah,
did that. I actually did that with 2 poems when I was like 13
yeah.
years old,
There you
because
go.
copywriting was
Yeah,
like $300 and I didn't have it. And I was like, how do I do it? And someone
exactly.
told me, post it, stamp it, sign it, send it to yourself, and don't open it. That's what they told me. And
Exactly.
it was, yeah. So it's cool that you said that.
Exactly.
It was it's kind of awesome and nostalgic.
Yeah, yeah, and it's wild because, you know, we're more of a less blockchain specific demographic. We're more widespread as far as, you know, people that are into music or entertainment. But we leverage the fact that we all love blockchain and the creators of this product. So it has such great inherent value in being able to secure and hash the actual proof in the form of provenance of who created the piece at the time of creation, and that's on an immutable ledger. It's really everything that anyone could ever want as far as like transparent, open proof that something was created by someone with a specific, you know, private, public key pair. So yeah, we use it in that sense, in a number of senses, but that alone is extremely powerful and will change the game for licensing and publishing for, I think, you know, years to come.
No, definitely agree. You know, I hate to hound on one rapper about it, but he's actually had like 3 or 4 cases where other rappers have said, "That's my line, like that's my song," and it's Drake, right? I love his music, I love Drake, but he's stolen like 5 good artists, you know, music and turn it into their own, and it's hard to really prove that they did it. But with something like an immutable blockchain, with the transparency, and with AI being able to say, "Hey, no, you can't do that because this is literally stealing from an actual creator," I think that alone, that copyright is an invaluable thing that you guys are definitely trying to promote and or pushing it through the power of the blockchain. So definitely love that. Definitely agree with that 100%. And it's going to allow those medium to low independent artists kind of be able to shine without the chance of bigger guys just kind of, oh, I like that song, and just taking
Yeah.
it from them, you know, and because it happens all the time. Like I literally know a friend here in Sacramento that he heard a song on the radio and he's like, oh, they changed like 3 words. I was like, he's like, the beat's the same, everything, and he's nothing he can do about it because he has no proof for the most part. But the blockchain, immutable
Yep.
forever, you know, and allows that kind of like a defense against those bad actors. You know, even if it's just music, you know, and they're legit, it's still I think something negative in the industry that you guys are definitely solving there. It's huge, right? 100%. Now, actually, one of my favorite questions of today to talk about. Oh, did someone want to jump on? I heard someone come off. Was that you, UP? Yeah, jump in
Yeah,
there. I barely
yeah,
heard you, but yeah, no.
yeah,
If at,
yeah,
and I want to tell you guys, if any time you want to jump in and I start talking, just interrupt me. I love it when you guys jump in. I love, you know, you guys getting your piece in there, because ultimately the community here needs to hear the value of what you guys are doing, and you know, try to find the possible place for them to be able to come in and join and be a part of the ecosystem.
absolutely. What I want to say is about AI agents in general is if the normal person is using AI agents, they expect just asking one question and they expect the most accurate, most correct answer right away. And I think that's wrong. When you ask about a topic to an AI agent, you need to have actually really good knowledge about the topic. You need to ask the correct questions, and you need to give it the correct inputs and correct data. For instance, if you go to DeepSeek, Grok, or ChatGPT and ask it, I want a code that's gonna trade Bitcoin future. Give me a code. It's going to give you something, but it's going to be garbage. So asking the correct questions, giving the correct data is really crucial. don't expect too much, just asking one question and trying to get the most accurate answer. That's not going to work. I don't think it will ever work. Maybe in 20 years or 30 years, I don't know. But right now, it's not possible. So you need to give the correct data and ask multiple, maybe tens or hundreds of questions to the AI. Then you will get to a point. That's
I
what I like
100%
about
agree. I
AI
100%
agents.
agree with you. That is probably the best advice I think I've heard in a while with AI and AI agents in general. People need to understand that it's a learning curve, right? And every agent needs to not only learn about the ecosystem, the coins, the entire market, but they also have to understand you. And the best way you can do is by just feeding it data. Just give as much information as you can, and obviously whatever you want to focus on, you make sure you highlight that, right? Focus on this and that, but also make sure you're looking at this and this and this. But make sure that this is my main focus. But make sure you're giving them much more than just find me a coin that I can put some money in, because it can find you any coin you put money in, but that doesn't necessarily it's going to be what you were looking for and or the best opportunity. So definitely agree with there. If you have you're trying to use AI, especially for any of this type of prediction models, you make sure you ask the right questions and ask as many questions as you can. You're going to get a bunch of different answers, but the type of answers are going to help you possibly even make the correct question that then it's going to give you a good investment with low risk, per se, or risk management, I would say, instead of low risk management, because like I always say, anything can go upside down. It's not financial advice. You always want to stay safe. But yeah, AI is just definitely making that move where it's alleviating a lot of the pain of having to do a shit ton of research to by the time you find it, it's too late kind of idea. So yeah, make sure you're asking the right questions. And sometimes it's good to go like on another AI platform and ask it questions so that you can get an understanding of what you want to ask it, and you have a much more accurate, or just keep asking it and it might give you the right answers to help you answer or ask the right question, if that makes sense. So definitely love that. Asher, what's up, buddy?
Yeah, I got to totally agree with you, and what you just said. I mean, nowadays, I mean, AI, or like especially on the chatbot, is just open source technology where either you source it from ChatGPT, DeepSeek, or I mean, Alibaba have their own. Everyone have their own, whereby most of the builders are building on top of it. But the AI is only as good as the data that you feed the AI, either through chatting or in our case, through our AI diagnosis. Our user able to, in coming future, we're going to release our AI, hyper-personalized AI doctor that will be reading the health data that we capture, so that the AI doctor can actually provide like good consultation, whether they got it from the library or through the internet. But there are so many AI agents out there. There are so many projects out there. Are basically just chatbot. But in order to make it efficient, you need to talk to it a lot. You need to hyper personalize it. You need to let it learn what it need to learn, and even the way maybe it may be. You may be from a different country. The way you structure your sentence is different. So the AI will need to learn from the data that is being fed, or else it's just a chatbot that is just a chat GPT. Even chat GPT, if you do the paid version, it's so much different, the chat GPT, the paid version and the non-paid version. If the paid version, it actually learn from you, it actually customize the way it talk to you, and it actually find the right words to communicate with you that you can understand. Maybe your English proficiency is not that good, and it comes into a more layman manner. And like in short, an AI agent is only as good as the data that you feed the AI agent. And AI agent can do a lot of things, from like what you said, trading. It can be, for us, is medical research. For us right now, we capture more than 300,000 different AI diagnoses with our technology. We are implementing an agent to dissect the data instead of me. I still have a data scientist, but the work of my data scientist has been shortened, or maybe in short, I would say, previously, if I need to sort all this data, I may need like what, two senior data scientists with two junior helping them. But now all I need is, I have one data scientist that can aggregate and study all the data with the help of AI. And I only need one person, and everything is just more efficient with AI. But in the end, is how you use it, what type of data you feed it, and how you create a prompt to use the AI agent.
No, I totally 100% agree. I definitely say the amount of information and data that's out there is a huge plethora, and they have their hands full. But in order for it to be specialized to what you personally want to happen and to get the right outcome, yeah, you definitely need to know the right questions and feed it tons of data, right? You got to make sure they know what that you want so they can understand. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And just like the paid ChatGPT, like you said, the regular one will give you this instant answer, very basic, close to probably what you want. But the paid version, which I have, it even takes like almost a minute to give you an answer because it's actually thinking and going through and trying to give you the most accurate, in-depth, answer to your question. But it's still limited to how much experience you put into it and the prompts. So definitely agree with that. Huge takeaway there. Huge value with that answer, Asher. Thank you for jumping into that. It jumped on a lot of what UP was saying. It's literally about the amount of time and data you put into it. It's going to give you much more accurate and defined questions. And the AI agents, like we're talking about, they're only doing what you say and how to alleviate that issue that you need. So if you're not giving them detailed on what you want, it might make a mistake or something. That wasn't as good as you had expected because you didn't give it either the right prompts or the data it needs, and it needs a lot of both. It's definitely a ecosystem that only gets better as it matures. A lot of other ecosystems, they kind of wind down as mature. AI, I just huge value as it grows and it matures. So definitely agree on both of you guys' takeaway on that. And like I was kind of talking about earlier, right before I let Yupia jump in, the next part of my question, I think is a huge part of why AI is powerful, but still some questions that I have, and I'm not sure if anybody else has those kind of questions. But it's also obviously about trust and transparency. So I also think that AI and blockchain together, hand in hand, is a win on itself, because I love AI and I love how autonomous it is and how it runs itself, but it's still an algorithm that in the end somebody in the background kind of has some type of control, some type of manipulation they can kind of do by adding in certain things. I'm still kind of new to it also. I couldn't say 100% on how it is, but allowing blockchain to have that immutable data kind of not only backs up the power of what the AI is doing, but it kind of alleviates a lot of the questions or answers or what ifs kind of side of things by having that trust and transparency. But how do you guys ensure that the AI, stay transparent and trustworthy in the decentralized world? And what approaches do you guys do to balance that, decision making? Because I know the more security you have and more, strength you have, the less actual powerful the AI can really be. But then in turn, you don't want your AI to be limited due to the security. So it's just trying to figure out your guys' balance on how you guys be able to facilitate that and, really bring the value to the community while also having them feel like their investments are also safe.
Yeah, I'll take that. It's a really good question, especially if you want to deploy an agent for something quite specific. So if it's on your own platform, it's representing maybe your brand, it's got a certain tone of voice. You want to be very careful about what it does or doesn't do, especially if it has access to funds or there's other areas of risk. And so in that kind of a deployment, yeah, you want to be really quite careful about how you set it up, the guardrails you put in place, how you monitor that, and keep a really tight iteration of learning what's working and not working. But what's really interesting is if you actually talk more to guys like Eliza OS or someone who's working on really open, persistent agents. And so they're thinking about entities that they can put out on chain that kind of do run forever. And as long as people keep feeding them, say, economic resources, they're quite independent and can do a lot of things by themselves. And so they're starting to think, okay, well then, does this need to be an individual? Does it need to have legal liability? And so they're starting to think about how they license or kind of control these agents. But you can think of a future where they become almost a country or an economy with its own GDP of themselves. And so yeah, there's definitely further horizons of innovation that are possible about agents being much more independent. But if you're actually deploying it for a specific purpose on your own platform, you really don't want it going wild and having a life of its own. So really keeping those guardrails pretty tight as you're deploying and learning how these agents work and operate is pretty important.
Yeah, they kind of that's the mix of it, right? You're you're making sure you have a great AI that is functioning, focused, and not too off the wall with radical things, but then also keeping that security level, it kind of almost limits it. So you have to have that great balance of it, allowing it to have control over certain things, but also make sure it's maintained properly. And then like even, in this day and age, these bad actors, they can make some great platforms, eat you in, you think it's going to be a great thing, and next thing you know, the AI agent wasn't as good as because they have a lot of manipulation. So definitely like what you guys are doing over there, while not only having great, powerful AIs, but also proving that you guys have a safe, secure platform for users to be able to come, alleviate a lot of that pain and pressure. But ultimately, it takes a lot of hands-on approach. So people that are listening right now, please take the time, follow everybody here, get in with their platform. I mean, literally, CloudBet's been here since the beginning, right? When it was really just the infancy of Ethereum being in Litecoin, basically, and all that kind of stuff. They were already there, really established. There's a lot of teams here that are building unique approaches into the ecosystem, but also using one, I believe, the most powerful utility, which is AI in the ecosystem. So definitely take time to check it out. And obviously, without any risk, make sure if you guys are still on the question, even though these projects are really good, a little hound of advice: transfer some funds over to a new wallet, and then start utilizing the ecosystem. You never know, you might find it as a great opportunity. Then you'll get on with your main portfolio wallet and whatnot, and grab a piece. But I definitely encourage people to get on, especially if you're a creator, or you have like that niche to try something new. The AI and music, it's blowing up. Gaming is coming back full swing. I know a bunch of projects right now that I'm advising about that similar stuff, how to come to market and have that retention. So that it's a huge opening. And I'm actually really excited what UP is doing over there with handling trades and understanding the futures market. Because like, I won't even touch the futures market because I've tried it and I lost a lot of money. But I think if you can get an AI agent that can educate you, help you find some of the risk management, you never know what kind of opportunity. I know a lot of people making some great money in the future. So definitely like what you guys are building over there. And like I said, the transparency is important. Yeah, jump in, bud.
Right. Thank you. We're going to try to be as transparent as possible. We're building the dashboard. It's going to go live in about a month, where after you stake your UP, you will be able to see your live profits. Of course, we won't be able to show people where we opened a long position or where we opened a short position. Then they can try to do it on their own, probably lose because we have our risk management stop loss mechanisms, but they won't do that, and they don't have that. So we won't be able to share where we opened the long position, but we will be able to share our current position, where the profit is. And also in the future, we are trying to do the governance system where we want the holders to have a word in which coins we should be trading. For instance, maybe right now we don't have AVAX or XRP. If we get enough votes, we will teach our AI, learn about the XRP characteristics, price movements, and then we can implement the XRP because our holders voted that we should be trading the XRP.
Oh, that's awesome. I think governance is a huge a huge thing in the ecosystem that is taking the waves. Obviously, it's been around, but I think now with the sentiment of community really being a part of it and people really trying to actually have a future in a lot of projects, they're actually spending a lot of time in these governance and like you're saying, trying to implement the new way for you guys' investments. And like Avalanche itself, they have a huge ecosystem of governance and they're doing it really well. So definitely like that. I think it really brings a touch to the project. And obviously I didn't break down how you guys are doing it. So hopefully it's done real well, because if it's done good and it's done well, it could definitely be a success. And it really brings your community into building and growing with the project. So like what you guys are doing over there, appreciate that. All right. Well, now another big thing, obviously, a lot of people always look at, how to utilize, AI agents now, or AI, in general now. But I think a lot of people miss on what is coming, right? And you guys are building a lot of stuff. A lot of you guys are cooking really neat stuff. So let's touch a little bit on what you guys are I'd say excited for as the kind of the biggest AI trend coming into the Web3, into 2025. I mean, last year we had a huge amount of imagery and all of this like stuff really coming out, but it was only touching on just the smallest part of what blockchain's real value is. And I think that, with coming in 2025, there's going to be a huge wave of new type of utilities and new type of, I would say advantages people can use AI itself for. So like I said, looking ahead, what are you guys' top advice for the Web3 users that are looking to utilize AI agents? And what do you guys do now to implement that for future products that you guys are going to release? Obviously, you don't have to talk about alpha or stuff that you're tight-lipped about, but maybe stuff that was on your roadmap that you're most excited that you really believe that AI is going to enhance that versus what you guys were thinking maybe a year ago.
Let me probably jump in on that. So one of the key things I feel that it's going to be the next evolution for AI agents is an agentic framework. And this is what we've been implementing as well with our game application, whereby we have multiple different AI agents with multiple different roles, and they work together synergistically to achieve a specific goal or a specific task that the user provides. So I think a lot of the AI agents that are fundamentally in the market at the moment are primarily individual AI agents, and there's really a huge potential in creating or implementing an AI agentic framework as opposed to just utilizing a single AI agent, whereby multiple different AI agents handling multiple different responsibilities. So probably one of the key things that you've mentioned as well in terms of security. So one AI agent handling security, one AI agent handling database implementation, and another AI agent handling the query or logic functionality of what the user is actually looking for. And all of them working in synergy, handled by a project manager agent, which sort of oversees the whole architecture and ensures that everything is logic before they actually implement a specific function or a specific logic. So I think that's probably the next evolution in an agentic framework, and I see a huge potential in automating whatever task we have. Literally, say for example, build me a battle royale map that's exciting and unique, and that AI agent will work as a team, reiterate and constantly develop until they finally achieve, hey, this is a 90% success rate, structure of the battle royale genre. So yep, that's in my opinion the next level of how AI agents will work, irrespective of whatever industry you're in.
No, I totally agree, actually, hands down. I think that a lot of the pains of having to not only get an entire crew to work with you, but I trust them alone is a huge thing in the crypto, the blockchain industry. There's so many people that they're great and all that, but the blockchain has a lot of temptation out here to do something necessarily nefarious, but I say negative to the overall project. Especially as X's start to fly early on, and having AI not only alleviate a lot of that pain and the pressure of those teammates to automate stuff, get things done accurately, but they don't sleep, right? There's no sick days, there's no days off. So once you have them doing a task, it's just going and going, and it's forever. And that's one thing that I think is going to be another huge thing, as you were talking about, having multiple agents, not only handling certain parts of the task or whatever, but also coming together to have a unified consensus, like every part is working great, and then delivering obviously the proper thing. So definitely agree with that. I think there was one other project that was doing something similar to that I was talking with the teams and really just interested in how that can grow, because you could deploy 10 agents to handle an entire company's worth of stuff, as long as you're sitting there and executing the right thing and observing them. And like I said, it's autonomous, it's without bias, and it's constantly growing and understanding the ecosystem more as it then continues to deliver a great product. I think 100% agree. That is one of the massive future parts of that, is being able to communicate that and then kind of bring another level to AI, because for the most part, AI is just a prediction model. There's some out there that kind of have a little bit of thought process to it, but having an AI that focuses on one ecosystem or one part of the ecosystem, one part of the data, one part of the construction of this, and then delivering the message to the user and or code or whatever they're going for. I think it's going to be a huge win and alleviate a lot of the pressure, and then also open up doors, massive doors for those other projects to be able to launch at a price point that they can afford. Because a lot of times that's the biggest barrier for most projects is hiring 2 or 3, 4, 5 guys to help you bring something to market, and having AI alleviate a lot of the early pressure. Not only is cost effective, but is an extreme advantage to those developers out there. So great point to bring up. Anybody else want to touch on, where they think, the trend is for AI?
Also,
And
yeah,
hey, what's up? Go ahead.
I want to add something. Maybe people are what they're missing is the computing power is also very important for an AI. What I'm trying to say is right now, with our AI, we are probably dumping maybe 2 or 3 years historical data of Bitcoin. But Bitcoin has been on the market for 15 years. Imagine if we try to dump 15 years of historical data, our computing power will not be enough. Even if you try to give huge data to ChatGPT or DeepSeek or Grok or whatever you want to use, you will find out that it's gonna keep resetting, and it won't give you an answer because of the amount you put in, because of the data amount you put in, the resource they allocate you is not enough to to go through that data. It's the same with the so there has to have a very strong computing power behind the AI. That's what I wanted to add. Maybe people are missing this as well.
No, 100% agree. I think that a lot of what AI's power is not only about being able to come to the data, but it's its speed and accuracy. And a lot of times the data set is just too much for them to, to actually cower through it. And like you're saying, it's not that they can't do it, but the compute power, the actual amount of processing power behind it is what it's limited to. So definitely, as I would say, blockchain grows, AI grows, and the overall ecosystem grows, that's going to be a need that is a huge apparent need in the blockchain itself. And then there are a couple projects out there. I think Render is one of them, and some of them that are really bringing the decentralized compute power to the blockchain, but it's still very limited. And I think that is a huge thing that people need to start understanding, that like we're talking about, it's not about having an AI that can read all of the data that's out there all at once at the very beginning, but it's one that's learning from the data you're giving it while still going through some of the historical data. But as time goes and it learns and it matures, it's obviously going to be able to continue to go through it. But yeah, I will say not only the compute power, but also the data centers out there in order to hold the data and compute the data and get the data out there is another thing that AI is definitely going to be making some of these other projects kind of scramble to see what they can do to kind of enhance and grow. So yeah, definitely there is a double-headed side there. The more powerful, the more advanced AI is, and the more data you reach out and give to them, it's going to be a little harder to get it done at all. So definitely, I like that approach to it. To understand that compute power is going to be probably the number one holding us back from really bringing AI to the next level. So definitely love that. I hope people are listening on that, and maybe the next really big compute power project comes from this that really uses AI to bring the next level. And because DeepIn has a long way to go. I mean, it's obviously still very early, but I think that focusing on AI's infrastructure for that itself could be a huge win for the ecosystem, for everybody utilizing it. Anybody want to touch on this before we move on? I know this is a huge kind of important part for a lot of people to hear, but there's only so much obviously that you could do with current AI. But it doesn't have to be, and when I say it doesn't have to be something that you're for sure is coming out. This is just stuff that you hope and believe and pray about the trend and where it's going. Because like I remember meme coins 2 years ago, I thought they were going to just be dead and kind of the season one was over. And next thing you know, I put my foot in my mouth. I mean, meme coins have grown to be a staple point in the ecosystem. So now AI is growing and it's crazy, but there's still so much more room and growth, to go. All right. Well, I will say you guys have been awesome. Obviously today we learned a lot today, about everybody's project, about a lot about AI. But I'm going to move over to closing statements. I'll go to individual, you guys, get a little closing statement. Obviously, you could talk about your project, show yourself, or just give everybody the basic exit to join, be a part of your project. But ultimately, it was actually a great understanding of what you guys are building. I mean, obviously, two of you guys I already very familiar from the last one. I did a lot of deep dive into you guys. That's Suede and Cloudbet. You guys are doing awesome things. Sculpt, I can't wait to jump into what you guys are doing, be a part of the community. I mean, you guys are huge. And Ashland, you guys over there in BitDoctor, I appreciate what you guys are doing. You guys are not only doing, I say, a huge and valuable service to the ecosystem, to the world, and to individual users, but you're bringing it in a way that is definitely unique and can be real powerful to the blockchain in the future growth, because everybody knows, like, going to WebMD or doing all that, you can get lost in a lot of stuff that is definitely not even close to what you have. But having something that can identify, help you alleviate a lot of the understanding of what you have, and or hopefully get you at least the advice that can help you on the right road to be healthier. Because ultimately, if you're not healthy, you're not earning. So definitely a good project and a great foundation for the blockchain. So I can't wait to dive into a little bit more about you guys. I have seen you guys in the ecosystem for a while, but I definitely need to learn a lot more, and maybe I can be a part of your guys' ecosystem too. I encourage everybody here to make sure you're following everybody here, like I said earlier. And UP, I actually super intrigued with what you guys are doing over. First time I heard about you guys, but I'm going to be deep diving into your guys' ecosystem like no other, because passive income and having AI handle my money while I'm working, I'm dealing with kids, obviously it's only going to be probably like 15% of my portfolio, but I would want to test it out, see the growth, see the power of it, because AI is not only going to help alleviate a lot of the risk management and education and a lot of the complexity of blockchain, but also allow a huge level of mama, pop, grandpas, people that are 18 to 20, be able to come in, experience blockchain, still earn, and not feel like their money isn't working for them overall. Because I can put my a high power savings account and get what, 5%, 4%, but if I do it real well, I can be getting 10, 20% a month on a really powerful ecosystem that's picking the right projects or right coins to be a part of. So I'm going to dive into you guys a little bit after this, but Suede, go ahead and lead us off with a closing statement, and then we'll move on to the next, and we'll just close it out here in about 5 minutes or so.
Sure. No, it's great being here. It's always a pleasure, and great teams, obviously great host. But the last thing that I want to touch on, and it kind of ties into what we were talking about before with computing power. One of the things that we've been able to do that we think is really revolutionary, if everyone remembers a few years back, cloud computing was all the rage. Well, we've been able to build a lot of factors of the music creation, such as a digital audio workstation, which is not AI computationally intensive, but still computationally intensive, on the point where a lot of people don't have the hardware to run these workstations. Well, we've been able to build it in browser so that people can basically run a workstation, which typically would require very advanced CPU computing just to run it. People in developing countries could run it on a Raspberry Pi because all of the computing is done within the cloud. So that's something awesome that we're finding that's really opening up accessibility, which has been a big point of this, allowing people in developing countries to have access to musical tools that they didn't before. So that component and just the advancement of technology is really been pretty great, and it's just going to grow exponentially as it has, just like any sort of network effect typically does.
No, I definitely agree. Actually, that's a huge kind of takeaway. You kind of should have said on the last question I had. I think that's a huge win for the ecosystem, and I totally agree, because prior to me being in the blockchain, I did a lot of testing, compute, really big stuff on software that was being released, and I actually had to upgrade my computer to a Threadripper in order to handle a lot of the stuff that I was alleviating, because my old computer had like an 8-core 16 thread, blah, blah, and I thought I had an advancement, but that thing was sweating. Like, I even had like almost blue screening with what I was doing, and I overclocked the crap out of it that eventually it died in a year. And I was like, okay, what am I going to do? I need something that's, that's price point right, but it's going to get the compute power I need. And that was the Threadripper. So definitely love what you guys are doing by alleviating all of that compute power to the most advanced cloud system out there, letting them handle the compute power, and then bringing back the data to all the way down to like a Raspberry Pi. Simplifies the hell out of it. And almost anybody can get a like old, 2010 laptop that has very similar compute power as a Raspberry Pi and be able to connect and do that. So That's huge win. Thank you, appreciate that. That's a great freaking exit right there. So
Thank you.
hopefully people are listening in. Make sure you guys are following these guys, and even if you're not, convinced on the overall product yet or what they're doing yet, these are builders out here that are actually doing great in the space. So even if this isn't something you do, follow along, be a part of the ecosystem, listen to these guys in AMAs. You never know what they're going to be doing now or what kind of partnerships are going to be going for now, and growing from there. And like I said, you never know what kind of opportunities you have with it, and especially in the in their Telegram, the community members. I always say some of my best friends that I know now was from just a random project I joined. So definitely take the time, you guys, to join these guys right here.